Jesus. And so here's the thing. If God created and designed and has always intended for his people to be outrageous and experience this abundant life overflowing, which I call the outrageous life, if all we had to do is be connected to Jesus and awake to Jesus, I wonder, why aren't we more outrageous already? Let me leave you with a quick illustration. I want to kind of move to a landing point here this morning. You see, I kind of think, as I've been thinking about the life of faith a lot, I think it's kind of similar to a trampoline. Now, you're going to think that's a little bit of an odd, it might be a stretch, but I like kind of stretch things sometimes. But I think the life of faith can be compared to a trampoline. And if you're new here or you're visiting with us, you don't know that I like to do illustrations that involve audience participation, and I'm not going to call on you, so don't worry. I'm not going to embarrass anybody this morning. I will be involved with this illustration. But this week, I said to our tech team, guys, I got to illustrate the life of faith. I need a trampoline. So somebody says to me, oh yeah, like in the 80s, right? You had those little, round jogging trampolines, right? You did your little, and we thought that was exercise for whatever reason, and we wore our leg warmers and all that kind of stuff that we did, right? And we did jazzercise and things like that. I said, no. We could easily get a, 1-foot trampoline, circumference wide. We could get that in here, and, that will be fine. I'm sure everybody would get the point that I'm trying to illustrate. But that wouldn't have been very outrageous of me, would it? And so this week, we start to do some research, and I'm pushing the guys, come on, we got to come up with something. And we figure out, you might not have noticed, but we figure out that it would be possible, not easy, trust me, Stephen will attest to that, not necessarily advisable perhaps, but it would be possible to get a 14-foot life-size, now you probably never saw a pastor do this, right? We could get this thing into this sanctuary. And what I realized this week, thanks, in case I fly off, should we get some spotters? I realized a few things this week. Number one, I haven't been on one of these for 20 years. Don't be afraid, not too afraid. Although my wife, when I leave the house, usually says, do great, preach well. Today she says, don't get injured. I think she knew where I was going with this thing. So I haven't been on here for 20 years, but what I realize now that I'm up here, you don't end up here on accident, right? You choose to get on here. I don't know what I can do on here. I hadn't been on here for maybe 40 years. What do you think, backflip? If I do front flip, I'm going to fly off. Let's just give it a go. The best way is just to do it. Ah! Yes! Okay. Who wants to see Stephen Burks do it? What I realized this week, you don't just get here by accident, and you don't do backflips by accident either, right? You choose to do it. I'm out of breath. And I think, though, that our problem is, we all want, I think deep down, somewhere, we want to live this outrageous, big God life. And yet, the thing about life, this side of heaven, I think our challenge is, so often, life is difficult. That's the reality of the experience that most of us are having. All of us experience things like loss. We lose jobs and loved ones and friends and different family members, and it sets us back. We experience grief and hardship, and the more we get knocked back, we start to get a little lower, and we start to think, maybe I should just get a little bit more cautious, right? We're still on the trampoline. We're still in the life of faith, but we're just starting to now look for something to hold on to, right? It's kind of shaky, but we're just looking for some kind of handhold, right? And before you know it, we're not jumping and we're not soaring. We're just trying to hold on, trying to make it. I'm messing up your thing, Angelina. I'm sorry. She said, don't mess up my thing. And I don't know what you think I look like right now, but I'm guessing that one possible word is ridiculous. Right? And I gotta think, like, God looks down at us sometimes, and he sees us created for this outrageous life, and we're just trying to hold on. Sometimes life knocks us back, and we just have to hold on. But it shouldn't be our default. This shouldn't be where we live. You see, God created us to live this outrageous life. And he sees us so often, myself included. I'm just looking for the handhold. I'm trying to make it because things happen. And life gets difficult. Life is real. And yet all the while, God is saying, don't forget, I gave you my son. And if you would just connect your life to him, to Jesus, and awake to the life that he wants to breathe into you, you would realize that you could soar a lot more than you usually do.